Ladies and gentlemen, today we are doing a delivery road trip from Mombasa to Meru of these 2018 Mazda Demio 1.5 liter turbo diesel that we scouted for our client. I've already covered like 340 kilometers and this exact spot is in Kitui County. Behind me is a junction that is headed to Ikudha town, and when you proceed up front, you are going to Kitui. So we are going to use this Kibwezi Kitui road to deliver this car because this Kibwezi Kitui road is smoother and actually shorter than the Nairobi route. In case you want a car like this one, you can engage us via the number below so that we scout a clean car for you. We are going to get a clean car that matches your specifications. We subject it to all the checks necessary, take you through the purchase process and even help you with delivery. For instance, the owner of this car is somewhere in Meru County waiting for this car which was scouted back in Mombasa. In case you are new around, consider subscribing to our channel and following us on our social media platforms so that you don't miss any of our weekly video reviews.
Take the exit on the right toward Kibwezi Kitui Road.
So the Mazda Demio is a small and compact hatchback that competes with cars like the Toyota Vitz, you have the Suzuki Swift and something like the Nissan Note. And when you're going to purchase a 2018 Mazda Demio, they come in 3 variations when you look at the engine. What I have here is a 1.5 liter turbo diesel, but in case you don't like diesels, you can purchase this Demio with a 1.3 liter petrol or a 1.5 liter petrol. So those are the 3 engine variations you are going to get if you are going into the market to purchase a Mazda Demio. This specific car has a 6-speed automatic transmission, but you can purchase a Mazda Demio Diesel with a 6-speed manual transmission. And for this car, power is going to the front wheels, but you can purchase an all-wheel drive variation. And that is how actually Mazda gives you a variety when it comes to the powertrain. Many people are going to tell you that the Mazda Demio is one of the most aesthetically appealing cars in this class. I'm not going to dispute that because looks are perspective. Up front, this design is inspired by Mazda's code or soul of motion design language. You have your beautiful daytime running lights there and your small fog lamps that are actually very bright. On the side profile, the diesel variation normally comes with these 16-inch alloy rims, which actually give this car a very appealing look. So why would someone purchase a Mazda Demio Diesel instead of the petrol variations? Number 1 is fuel consumption. This 1.5 liter turbo diesel is better in terms of fuel consumption when you compare to the 1.3 liter petrol and the 1.5 liter petrol. The last time I delivered a Mazda Demio petrol 1.5 liter from Mombasa to Nairobi, my average figure was 15 kilometers per liter, and very many people said that consumption was on the higher side. For this trip, I've covered 340 kilometers from Mombasa CBD to this spot. My average figure is already stabilizing at 20 kilometers per liter. So that should tell you that this is a very economical car. When you have 250 Newton meters of torque in a small car like this one, that means that you're going to have an impressive power to weight ratio, and this car is actually very responsive on the road. I'm not saying it is a car that should be taking on the likes of the Golf R, but for normal commuting, road trips A to B, you are going to find that this car is going to be decently powered. So that is reason number 2 why someone will purchase the 1.5 liter turbo diesel instead of the petrol variations. In terms of driving dynamics, the 1.5 liter turbo diesel is one of the best cars to drive in this class. The motor here makes adequate power for day-to-day driving, and you are not going to find this car underpowered. If anything, it's one of the most powerful cars in this class. The Kibwezi Kitui road is one of the best roads that I've ever driven on. in the Kenyan market. And this car is not struggling whatsoever to maintain a 120-130 kilometers per hour on this road. All you need to watch out for is something like cows maybe that will be crossing this road, because those ones can actually be very hazardous to your bumper or to the front here. It's very smooth that I'm driving this car at a speed of 120-130 kilometers per hour, and it doesn't feel like I'm doing those speeds, because if you're watching this video, you can't tell that I'm moving in the upwards of 130 kilometers per hour. On the other side, that should tell you that this car is decently powered, and for day-to-day commuting, you are not going to find it underpowered whatsoever. If anything, this is one of the most powerful cars in this class. That is a safety feature that is warning me because I was veering off from my lane without indicating. It's a lane keeping assist. Another feature you may appreciate in this car is that on this heads-up display, you have a traffic sign recognition system. So that if you are passing through a place whereby the speed limit is maybe 50 kilometers per hour, for instance, in a town center, you are going to see that 50 kph indicated on this heads-up display. Around corners, the Demio Diesel feels settled, but this specific car I'm driving has already had its suspension twisted, because at the moment it's running medium duty springs, of course to avoid the car scratching its underbelly because it's going up country. But still, I don't feel like it loses that handling by a big margin. But if you drive this Demio Diesel with the stock suspension, and when the car is loaded, it's a car that is well mounted to the road. You are going to like its handling around corners. The beauty with turbo diesels is that you don't over-rev them for them to make meaningful power or for them to move. For instance, I'm now tackling this hill with my speed at 110 kilometers per hour, and my rev is around 1600 RPM. And because you don't need to over-rev them for them to move, that is one of the reasons why my fuel numbers are actually very impressive. Because I'm sitting at 20 kilometers per liter, I'm expecting, but by the time I'm in Meru town, maybe I'll have deviated to 19 point something, because once you get to Embu and you proceed to Meru, you are going to find that there are curves whereby you'll be braking and accelerating frequently when you compare to this flat surface. So there is a question I know some people will be wanting me to answer. Between the diesel and the petrol, which is the better pick? I'll say that one boils down to your needs. If I was to purchase a Mazda Demio or a Mazda 2, my choice will be similar to the CX-5. Any day of the week, Monday to Saturday and twice on Sundays, my money is going to be on a diesel. And my reasons are simple. I like a car that is powerful, and of course, away from being powerful, this car is going to give you better fuel numbers because I'm a regular traveler. But in case you don't really move a lot and maybe you park your car most of the time, the petrol variation is going to be the better car in that regard. Because for the petrol, being naturally aspirated and the fact that it doesn't have a DPF means that you are not going to suffer from those DPF clogging issues. So the choice between a petrol and a diesel is really dependent on your needs. If you are a regular traveler, go for the diesel variation because it's going to give you more power and better fuel consumption. But if you want something relatively simple to maintain without any drama whatsoever and you don't move frequently, then in such a case, consider the petrol variation. Another question could also be on the 1.3 liter versus the 1.5 liter in the petrol variation of the Demio. In such a case, the fuel consumption between those two engines is actually negligible. So I'll better go with the bigger engine because you're going to get more power. And if you drive those cars relatively back to back in a relaxed manner, you're not going to realize a big difference in terms of fuel consumption. So in terms of extras, this Mazda Demio Diesel comes with cruise control, volume controls on the left side. We have these paddle shifters behind the steering wheel, a 360-degree camera, parking sensors, traction control, lane keeping assist, and of course iStop. I understand there are some variations of the Mazda Demio that come with leather seats, but at least this one doesn't come with leather seats, but it has a three-way heated function for the front seats. So what could go wrong if you purchase a Mazda Demio 1.5 liter turbo diesel? This is a diesel car, and diesel cars don't like sitting for long because they have something that is called a diesel particulate filter, something like a sieve. So if you don't give your car enough distance to move heater properly and do regeneration on its own, definitely you are going to have issues with your DPF clogging, and of course you are going to see a warning on the dashboard that says soot accumulation. So a diesel car is meant for those people who frequently move. If you buy this car, you park it for long, or you spend your life in traffic frequently, at some point you are going to have that DPF warning on the dashboard, and you may be forced to do a DPF delete. When you look at this 1.5 liter turbo diesel and you compare to the elder sibling 2.2 in the CX5, I could say that this one is more reliable and doesn't clog as fast. Of course, we have a 2015 CX5 2.2 diesel, and that car clogs very fast, especially if you don't drive it frequently, and for our car we had to delete it. In terms of the transmission, you can't go wrong with Mazda cars because the 6-speed auto here is very robust, or if you don't like an automatic transmission, you can purchase the 6-speed manual, which is also very robust. So when you look at this car and what could go wrong, perhaps DPF clogging if maybe you are not a regular traveler. But if you service this car properly, you use the right oil, and by the right oil I mean 5W30, you are not going to have any kind of problem with the Mazda Demio. So ladies and gentlemen, we've covered for 87 kilometers from Mombasa CBD to this spot. The school nearby is called Kangondu Primary School. I don't know whether it's in Embu County, but I guess so. So if I was coming from Mombasa to Nairobi, I could be in Nairobi CBD, because Mombasa CBD to Nairobi CBD is for 87 kilometers. So I have around 80 kilometers from this spot to Embu town and then to Chuka. So cumulatively the distance that has remained is around 140 kilometers. So those are the few highlights of this trip and what to expect in case you want to purchase a Mazda Demio 1.5 liter turbo diesel. In case you have a question about this Demio diesel or the petrol variations or even the competitors, that is the Honda Fit, Nissan Note, Suzuki Swift and the Toyota Vitz, you can engage us via the number below so that we guide you to make an informed car purchase or car decision. I think that is enough for today, guys. Bye for now. See you on the next one on 0 to 60 motoring. Let's complete the remaining 140 kilometers trip to the owner of this car.